بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وفضل الصلاة وتم التسليم وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم تسليما كثيرا وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلوات الله وسلامه عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. أما بعد، نواصل بمشيئة الله سبحانه وتعالى وفضله توصل في شرح الصحيح مسلم للإمام النووي رحمه الله تعالى. Continuing, resuming our classes in the explanation of Sahih Muslim, the explanation of Sahih Muslim by Imam An-Nawawee. What we mean by that is that Imam Muslim collected his hadith, and Imam An-Nawawee came after him and put his hadith into chapters. Well, Imam Muslim himself didn't make chapters, he only فَصَلَهُمْ kitab kada, kitab kada, kitab kada. So we said over and over again, the term kitab here doesn't mean a binding book, but it means a binding book. There may be volumes, and it also means a subject matter. So kitab al-salah. If you find it inside of a book, that means every hadith that's about to come, madahu as-salah. Its topic is under salah. So you may have standing, which is qiyam. You may have the 5 daily prayer. You may have nawafil. So each one of them, if you broke it down, you could say bab al-wujub al-qiyam fi salah, the obligation of standing for the prayer. Then you could say bab al-salat al-tutura, or salat al-nafila, salat by twos, or the supererogatory prayer, and like this. So this is what Imam Nawawee came and did. He took the Sahih Muslim that was general topics, kitab al-salah, kitab al-kada wa kada, this, and he went and broke them down to sections in each one of those categories. So that's why it's called the explanation of Sahih Muslim by Imam An-Nawawee rahimahullah. There are others that have given explanation. Imam An-Nawawee's is the most famous by far and the most widespread used in the masajid around the world. ونسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى يرحمهما الإمام مسلم وشارحه Imam An-Nawawee رحمه الله تعالى. As a special treat, we have on top of that the comments of Fadilatul Shaykh Umar ibn Hassan Abdul Latif Falata, from the ulama of our time, the African scholar who taught many, such as Shaykh Umar Falata, and some of those early students in the University of Medina, there at the Prophet's Masjid in the 60s and 70s, 1300s Hijri, 1300 Hijri, and it was in the early 20th century. So we're going to take this explanation, inshallah, try to follow along, be patient, as it's going to mention a lot of benefits. And we're going to start Kitab Fadal al-Quran, the section where Imam Muslim mentions the virtues related to the Quran. We were in Kitab al-Masajid when we left off before the break, the book concerning things regarding the masjid, but I decided to go to Kitab al-Fada'il, the chapter concerning the virtues of the Quran. Say it. So the Sheikh starts out, Shaykh Umar Falata, by saying Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين Shaykh, here the Shaykh, after he praised Allah, he said, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Many times the brothers, they say, in the name of Allah. That's wrong. That's a Christian translation, a Christian concept, in the name of God, in the name of Jesus, in the name of. So the Muslims copied that and translated Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of Allah. It should be with the name of Allah. Because the ulama, they said the ba here in Bismillah, or ba, is the other. I mean, bab and ba, yani mada, is the honor. The ba has many meanings. Sometimes ba means ma'a, with. Sometimes ba means fi, and. Sometimes ba means isti'ana, seeking assistance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sometimes ba means halaf, to swear, billahi. That person swears when they say billahi. So here, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim means with Allah's name. As Allah said, La hawla ma sha Allah, la quwwata illa billah, Surah Al-Camel. Ma sha Allah, la hawla quwwata illa billah. Allah will it, and there will be no power and no strength for us to do anything except Allah who willed it. And Rasulullah used to say, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. There's no hawla, situation. Wa la quwwata. And there's no power, illa billah. So you wouldn't say illa billah except in Allah, but you mean except with Allah giving you that power. It's talking about us. And that's what many of the ulama said when you say Bismillah, it either means ismin aw fi'lan, jumlat ismiya aw fi'liya. Meaning that you're either saying Bismillah, it's a thing, meaning you're making like a supplication and you're saying Allah's name as a supplication, or you mean it's an action, meaning I'm going to drink. So you say, Ana sa'ashrab Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I'm going to drink with the assistance of Allah, the most merciful, who has all the mercy and who gives the mercy to his creation. So you drink. So this is the meaning. Either you're going to do an action and you mean that the action won't be done except by the power and the help of Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, or the Bismillah is like a dua in the beginning of something. So this, when we understand this properly, we'll never say Bismillah Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim in the name of Allah. You say with the name of Allah. As the Prophet ﷺ used to say, Bismillah al-Ladhi, and with Allah's name, He is the one, La yadurru, no harm, Ma'asimihi shay'un, will touch that person of any sort, fil ardi wala fis samai, wa huwa samiul alim, because Allah, He heard you and He knows when you use His name. Bismillah al-Ladhi, it is with His name, meaning the statement, which is like a supplication, La yadurru, nothing will harm you, Ma'asimihi shay'un, from any of the things Allah has created, fil ardi, on earth, wala fis samai, wa huwa samiul alim, because He's the one who heard you when you called His name, seeking assistance, and He's the one who's al-alim. So this shows you with the name of Allah, not in the name of Allah. So Shaykh, he starts with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Then he said, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Praise be to, and it's due to, and for the Lord of all of the worlds. Wassalatu wassalamu, and may the salat, meaning for Allah as a wajal, to give the Prophet a high status, and for us, may Allah will make it supplications to salatu for the Prophet, that Allah protect him in his grave and protect and bless him on the day of judgment. He said, ala ashraf al-sayyid al-mursaleen. Normally people say ala ashraf al-anbiya'i wal-mursaleen. Ashraf, the most noble. Anbiya'i, prophets. Wal-mursaleen, messengers, plural. But here the Shaykh added. He said, when making the statement, ala ashraf al-anbiya'i wa sayyida mursaleen. So the Shaykh, he is from the ulama al-hadith. And you'll find that the ulama al-hadith, ahl al-hadith, they like to say just what the Prophet said. He could have said, wassalatu wassalam, and the salutations and the safety of Allah be upon ala ashraf al-anbiya'i wal-mursaleen, upon the most noble of his prophets and messengers, meaning Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But he chose to say ala ashraf al-anbiya'i wa sayyida mursaleen. He added sayyida. Why? Because there's many hadith where the Prophet said wa ana sayyida mursaleen yawm al-qiyamah, and I'm the head of all of the messengers on the day of judgment. So messengers include prophets. Messengers include prophet. Every messenger is a prophet, but not every prophet is a messenger. Kullu rusul nabi wa laysa kullu nabiyyin rusul. Kullu rusul nabi wa laysa kullu nabiyyin rusulan. Every messenger is a prophet at the same time, automatically, but not every prophet is a messenger. So for some, the Sayyida al-Anbiya'i wal-Mursaleen, but there's some text where the Prophet said, wa ana Sayyida Bani Adam. I am the head of all of the human beings. Wa ana Sayyida Mursaleen. I am the head of all of the messengers, meaning / prophets on the day of judgment. So that's why the Shaykh said, ala ashraf al-anbiya'i wa sayyida mursaleen, and the chief of all of the messengers, meaning and prophets, alayhi salatu wassalam. Sayyidina awwaleen wal akhirin. Sayyidina awwaleen wal akhirin. That the prophet, he is the chief. Sayyida awwaleen. Sayyid al-awwaleen wal-akhirin. He is the chief of those who are in the beginning, prophets, and those who came in the end. You have prophets that started in the beginning, those came in the middle, those came in the end. So he's not the chief of some and not others. Rather, he Sayyid al-awwaleena wal-akhirina. He is the chief of all of them from the beginning to the last of them on the day of judgment. And the Shaykh said, this statement in the introduction, praise of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and all of them have hadith to match them. The next statement, the Shaykh said, wa imami yani muttaqeen, wa imami muttaqeen. And he is the Imam for the righteous. Wa imami muttaqeen. He is the Imam of the righteous. He is the example for the believers. He is the one that we look to for guidance and to follow, to emulate him, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Which the opposite, if he's Imam al-Muttaqeen, then he's laysa imaman lil-fajirin wal-zalimin wal-kafirin. He's not their leader, Wallahu musta'an. So you wonder why they disbelieve in him, they reject him, because he is Imam al-Muttaqeen, the Imam for the righteous, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Also, what comes to mind when he said Sayyid al-Awwalin wal-Akhirin, the Prophet sallallahu, he mentioned, Shaykh al-Muqbil, he brings it in his Musnad Sahih, مما ليس في صحيحين, al-Musnad Sahih, مما ليس في صحيحين, which is a collection the Shaykh took 20 years to write. to write. It took 20 years to write in a mukbil. He gathered all of the hadith he can find and all of the books that would fit in the category of those hadith conditionally along the same requirements as what was set by Imam Bukhari and Muslim for their collections. They set standards. They don't have certain type of narrations in their Sahih. That's why they said, Huma asah, yani kutubin, yani ba'd al-Qur'ani, fi wajh al-ard. They are the two most reliable, the two most authentic books on earth after the Quran. Why? Because they took strict measures to accept certain quality type of hadith, where others have all of the type of narrations in their books, and they may underline this hadith by a term, or they might just directly tell you this hadith is not authentic, but they brought it to show its unreliability, or they brought it to refute some things that people try to prove by those weak hadith. But Bukhari Muslim, they don't have the likes of those hadith. And if Imam Bukhari brings a hadith yani, in his tarajama that's da'if, then normally there's some chains that will support it, or there is some, we say, mutabi'ah or shawahida. There is some other hadith that will follow that hadith, those chains, to make it okay. Now, so Shaykh al-Muqbil in his Jam al-Sahih, the collection of hadith. Musnad means you collect the hadith by name. So rather than collecting the hadith by subject, kitab al-Tahara, that's subject. Then you go bab. Let's say you have 20 abwab, 20 chapters, 20 subtitles under Tahara. Then you go kitab al-Salat, the next subject, Salat. That's why you say kitab. And Salat is the subject. Then let's say you have 30 subtitles under Salat. So you say bab. Each bab is subtitled. So you get to 30. So that's when they make the books ala abwab al-fiqh. They make it arranged, which they call ala abwab al-fiqh, with the chapters to help people understand the religion. But Musnad is the opposite. It may be 10 hadith, 3 in Iman, 5 in Salat, that's 8. 2 in Janazah, that's 10. It may be another 15 inheritance. It may be like this until you get to 25, and they're all from Aisha. So that's Musnad. You mentioned the hadith by the narrator, not by the topic. So that's the Musnad Sahih, Mimma laysa fi Sahihain, Shaykh Muqbil. He brought the hadith to kind of, it goes with what the Shaykh is saying, that the Prophet is Sayyid al-Awwalin wal-Akhirin. He's the chief of all of them, the first of them and the last of them, talking about prophets and messengers. The Prophet in the Musnad Sahih Mimma laysa fi Sahihain of Imam Muqbil, I remember the hadith where the Prophet he said, Nahnu آخرين في الدنيا نحن أولون في الدنيا لا نحن آخرون نحن آخرون في الدنيا وأولون في الآخرة. نحن أولون في الدنيا نحن آخرون في الدنيا وأول في الآخرة. We are the last group in this life. The last group, the last ummah, in the end of time, but we will be first in line on the Day of Judgment. We will have VIP on the Day of Judgment. So this is another text to say that he is Sayyida al-Awwalin wal-Akhirin. He is going to be the chief of them all of them prophets and messengers, the first and last of them, and from amongst that, we will be the first in line on the Day of Judgment with our leader, Sayyid al-Anbiya'i wa Mursaleen, sallallahu wa Imam al-Muttaqeen, he is the leader of the righteous. وقال the Shaykh, he said, وَقَائِدُ غُرَّ مُحَجَّلِينَ. And the Prophet ﷺ is the one who has established that people will be known on the Day of Judgment from their marks of ablution. The ones who has been given the privilege by Allah that his followers on the Day of Judgment, all that washing we do with Bismillah for prayer, for the Salat, it will be like reflections. It will be like something lighting up on the Day of Judgment. So it will be known based on who used to watch those lamps, who used to make those lamps purified for the Salat. Salam is the one who established that by Allah wa ta'ala, and his ummah will have that along with him on the Day of Judgment. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Shaykh, he continues, all of this is dua and praise Sayyidina wa Habibina Muhammad. He's our leader, he's our chief, and he's the beloved unto us. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He says, Sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi. Making again salutations for the Prophet of Allah. Raise him, make him safe, bless him, and he included his companions and the followers of the Prophet ﷺ in general. The Shaykh said, فَمَنْ تَبَعَهُمْ بِإِحْسَانٍ. And whosoever follows them, in goodness. Here, بِإِحْسَانٍ, here, there's no other way to follow the Prophet and the companions except بِإِحْسَانٍ. What is بِإِحْسَانٍ here? بِإِحْسَانٍ here means that you do the best job that you can. إحسان. The ulama, they said إحسان في اللغة بدل. So when you say تحسن لفلان, be good towards so and so, be excellent towards that person. Or هذا شخص له إحسان وهو محسن. This in Luga means that person بدل نفسه وماله, the ulama said. He exhausted himself for people. He exhausted himself with services towards people and helping with his wealth. This is the meaning of muhsin. And ihsan, badal shay, to exhaust something. So here when he said, وَمَنْ تَبَعَهُمْ بِإِحْسَانٍ, that means you exhaust yourself with following the Prophet, his Sahaba, that you go all out. You don't follow them with laziness or negligence, or sometimes you follow them, sometimes you don't, but you follow them in this, but you don't follow them in that. No, that's not ihsan. It's not ihsan. Allah Azza wa Jalla uses term in the Quran, وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ مَاذَا إِحْسَانًا, and you act towards your parents ihsan. That means you extend yourself beyond what a person would normally extend, because those are your parents. وَقُلْ إِنسَانَ حُسْنًا, and say to the people husna. Husna means you go up and beyond to say words of generosity and kindness to people that normally people wouldn't say. You go, as we say, the extra length. Inna Allah yuhibbul muhsinin. Allah loves those who exhaust themselves in doing that service to others. You putting yourself before others, or you putting others before you? You're putting others before you with ihsan. And when you're putting yourself before others, then this could be considered shuh. You're stingy with yourself. Bukhl. But ihsan, قدم الآخرين على نفسك. That you put others before yourself. وبذل في نفسك يعني في خدمتهم وبذل في يعني أموالك لهم. That you exhaust yourself towards service to them and with your wealth. This is ihsan. So the Shaykh said, وَمَنْ تَبَعَهُمْ بِإِحْسَانٍ, who follows them yani, and exhausting himself and following their guidance. Not lagging as much as he's not able to lag as a human. He doesn't miss the mark. This is ihsan. Now, the Shaykh said, إِلَى يَوْمَ الدِّينِ, subhanallah, إِلَى يَوْمَ الدِّينِ. This dua the Shaykh is saying, this and praising Allah, asking this for the Prophet, his Sahaba, those who follow him. Yani, ila yawm ad-din. Ila yawm ad-din can mean until you die. The Shaykh Uthaymeen, he mentioned, yani, as-sa'a huna, al-amr Allah huna, yani, am wa khas, the command of Allah. The ajr of the Allah Azza wa Jal, the appointed time. Could it mean Yawm al-Qiyamah in general, or it can mean when each person dies? That's why the ulama said, when you die, you just begin your juz'im min al-akhirah. Being in the grave, yani we said that person left the dunya, he's in the portion of his hereafter while he's still in this life because the trumpet hasn't blown yet. So when you die, you're in between this life and the hereafter. You started a portion of the hereafter in the barzakh. So this, yani Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. The Shaykh said, ila yawm ad-din amma ba'd, to the day of judgment, to the day that you die, or the day when everybody yani will stand before Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala, Yawm al-Qiyamah. The Shaykh, he said, I jumped the gun. He said, ila yawm ad-din. He didn't say mabat. That was me, stuck from Allah. He said, ila yawm ad-din wa sallima tasliman kathira. Wa sallima tasliman kathira. Wa sallima tasliman kathira. وَسَلِّمَا تَسْلِيمًا كَثِيرًا. The best way to translate this is to, they submit to the Prophet with much submission. They submit to the Prophet with much submission. Like Allah said, ذِكْرُ اللَّهَ ذِكْرًا كَثِيرًا. So the kathiran here is a sifa. It's showing you to do something in abundance. Like Shaykh Abdul Razak, when he's explaining the hadith where he said, مَنْ لَمْ يَسْأَلَ اللَّهِ يَغْضَبْ عَلَيْهِ. Whoever doesn't make dua to Allah, Allah becomes angry with him. Shaykh Abdul Razak said, so the person should yulih fi du'a ila Allah. He should ask Allah over and 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 over again. This is what Allah loves and He seeks from you. So here, when the Shaykh, he says, وَسَلِّمَ تَسْلِيمًا كَثِيرًا, this is the same meaning. You submitting with a lot of submission. Meaning, you don't slack. That's why the ulama, they said, the person who's really upon the sunnah, when his iman is real high, he's upon the sunnah. And when his iman takes the plunge, he's still upon the sunnah. And his peak, and when it declines. Why? Because he's sallima tasliman kathira. He's obeying and submitting to the Prophet with a lot of submission. So this allows you, when times get rough, when people normally would turn away from the sunnah,
One of the reasons you hold, because tasliman kathira, wa sallama tasliman kathira, you are submitting to the Prophet in a large number, in abundance. So this helps you, and we ask him subhanahu wa ta'ala, yani sallama tasliman kathira. Now, then the Shaykh said, Imma ba. Now, Imma ba. So all of that was the Shaykh's dua. We mentioned again. This is the way when you want something, you praise Allah. You mentioned Awsaf ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Malik Yawm al-Din, As-Sami al-Dua, Mujib al-Da'wa, the one who has the mercy, ar-Rahman, ar-Rahim, the one who gives the mercy, Yani As-Sami al-Alim, the one who hears all and he knows all, and Mujib al-Da'wa, the one who answers the invocations. You do all of that. Then you praise the Prophet. You give salutation. Different ways, like he said, Sayyida al-Awwalina wal-Akhirin, Ashraf al-Anbiya, wa Sayyida al-Mursaleen, Sayyida al-Awwalina wal-Akhirin. Yani, you say these statements to, yani, praise the Prophet. This is the meaning of sallallahu alayhi. You praise him. Salat means you praise him. Salat means you seek forgiveness for him. Salat means you ask Allah to have mercy on him. Salat means you ask Allah rafa sha'nahu fi dunya wal akhirah, to raise his status in this life hereafter. Then after you do that, you don't forget his companions, those who follow him. Then you start talking. And you see the ulama, they show great attention and pay great homage in that regard to the dua and to Allah Azza wa Jal, then his Nabi Sallam, and those Sahaba are included, and those who follow him to the last day now. The Shaykh, he says, Subhanaka la ilma lana, Subhanaka la ilma lana. This is the ayah from Surah Al-Baqarah. So the Shaykh, he's making dua now. Subhanaka la ilma lana. And Subhanaka here is you saying, Allah, there's nothing like you. This is why the people bid'ah who ya'awwalu sifatillah. People bid'ah who think you have to do ta'atid, the ta'rif, alter the meaning of Allah's actions and his attributes. Because they say, if we don't, we're going to make Allah like a human. Subhanaka or Subhanallah, either one of those terms mean Naza Allah, yani Ayub an nafsih. Allah has made declaration and has made for himself that he's free from any defects. So anytime we talk about humans, the most perfect human has a defect. But Allah has no defect. Subhanallah amma yushrikun. Allah is far above what they ascribe to him as partners. Allah said that in the Quran. Subhanallah amma yasifun. Allah is far above what they manufacture of lies and philosophy about him. So you don't need to do anything. Just say Subhanaka, and you are free from any imperfections. You are free from any blemishes. Meaning, there's no way you can be like a human. Even if humans, you made them to see and you see. Even if humans, they hear, you made them to hear and you hear. Even if humans talk, you made them to talk and you talk. Even if humans, laugh, you made them to laugh and you laugh. Even if humans love, you made them to love and you love. Even if humans hate, you made them to hate and you hate. Even if humans show compassion, you made them to show compassion. There's no equality, no similarity. Why? Subhanaka. You are in the class by yourself. Is the meaning here. The Shaykh is saying, Subhanaka la ilma lana. We have no knowledge. Subhanaka la ilma lana. You are the one, you have all of the knowledge, but humans have no knowledge. Illa ma'alamtana, except the knowledge that you depart, you give us. Illa ma'alamtana, except the knowledge that you depart, you give us. So that shows you that every credit for knowledge goes back to Allah. He's the one who gives the knowledge. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. The ayah is Surah Al-Baqarah. إنك أنت عليم الحكيم. And you are the one, you know everything, Al-Alim, Al-Hakim. And you know all the reasons behind things. Al-Alim, Allah wasn't fa'il. Means a lot of actions here, Al-Alim, a lot of knowledge, all of the knowledge. Al-Hakim, Allah wasn't fa'il, yani meaning all of the reasons things happen, Allah, He's the one who knows those reasons. Now, the Shaykh continues, Shaykh Umar Falata, Umar Falata, rahimahullah, he's making dua before he opened the session. MashaAllah, he said, Allah, you willed it. La quwwata illa billah, we have no power except from you. Now he starts to talk about what Imam An-Nawawee says from the book, Yaqul Imam An-Nawawee rahimahullah ta'ala. فيما ترجم به من كتاب Sahih Muslim. So he starts to talk about what Imam An-Nawawee says about the material in Sahih Muslim. قال باب فضائل القرآن. Imam An-Nawawee says the chapter of the virtues of Quran. So remember, Sahih Muslim has no abwab. La yabawwa shay Imam Muslim. He didn't make any subtitles, chapters, as we call it, bab, abwab. Who did that? Imam Nawawee. So that's why he's saying, call Imam Nawawee bab Fadal al-Quran. Imam Nawawee divided Kitab al-Fada'il, the virtues of Fada'il, to the first thing, the Quran. He could have talked about Fadal and the Mursaleen, virtues of prophets and messengers. He could have talked about Fadal, Ashab Rasulullah, virtues of the prophets, companions. He could have talked about Fadal, Som, Shahr Ramadan, the virtue of fasting in Ramadan. We talked about Fadal, Som, Sittat Shawwal, virtue of fasting 6 days in Shawwal. We talked about Fadal, Som, Awwal, Ayyam Dil Hijjah, the first days, Awwal Ashur, Ayyam Dil Hijjah. We talked about Fadal, Siyam, Yom al-Ashura, the virtue of fasting on the day, the 10th day of Ashura. But he did it. First thing he said, Fadal, Bab Fadal al-Quran, the virtues of the Quran. And that's Imam Nawawee who broke the large section of virtues into subtitles, and he started with Fadal al-Quran, the virtue of the Quran. Quran has a virtue. Many virtues. The Shaykh says, وَبِسَنَدٍ مُتَّصَلٍ إِلَى الْإِمَامِ Muslim rahimahullah ta'ala. So that means Imam An-Nawawee is now going to mention chains that go back to Imam Muslim, the author of the book that Imam An-Nawawee is explaining. Rahimahullah ta'ala. قال حدثنا أبو بكر ابن أبي شيبة. The first person that the Imam Muslim mentions in this hadith is Abu Bakr ibn Abi Shayba. And this is one of his shuyukh, and this is one of the works we're going to study, Yani Musannaf of Mata ibn Abi Shayba. Now, so you could see Imam Muslim is quoting from his Shaykh يعني Abu Bakr ibn Abi Shayba. Imam Abu Bakr ibn Abi Shayba, he has what's called Musannaf. Musannaf. And Musannaf is basically a work that this Imam collected that not only has narrations of the Prophet, but it has Athar al-Sahaba wa Tabi'in wa Itba'ihim. ويعني ماذا الفقه والقواعد فيه. It has hadith, statements of the companions, statements of tabi'in, students of the companions, and the students of the companions in this book. This is like a specialty. If you want to know what the companions said, tabi'in said, it's about tabi'in, lazim al-zun al-musannifani. You have to get two works that are called musannaf. You have musnad, and you have musannaf. Here, musannaf is when you gather these narrations, all of them together. And the two musannaf is Ibn Abi Shayba, the Shaykh of Imam Muslim. He's also the Shaykh of Imam Bukhari. He's also the Shaykh of Imam Abi Dawood. He's also the Shaykh of Imam At-Tirmidhi, Imam At-Tirmidhi. He's also the Shaykh of Imam An-Nasa'i. He's also the Shaykh of Imam Ibn Majah. Now, he's the Imam of many ulama, Ibn Abi Shayba. له أخ من أهل العلم كذلك اسمه عثمان بن أبي شيبة. He has a brother by the name of Uthman ibn Abi Shayba. Uthman قد اشتره يعني لمصنفاته في التاريخ سيرة. Uthman ibn Abi Shayba, he became famous for writing biography style, while his brother Abu Bakr ibn Abi Shayba became known for writing this style where he has again musannifat. Musannifat means that which has the narration of the Prophet, that which has the narration of the companions, that which has the narration of the tabi'in, that which has the narration of the itba' tabi'in. Also he has tafsir, Imam Abi Bakr ibn Abi Shayba. Also he has yani mada barakallahu fikum. He has sirah, kadhalik, and history. These great works, this Imam Abu Bakr ibn Abi Shayba radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Wa Abu Kurayb. So Abu Bakr ibn Abi Shayba, he, Imam Muslim narrated from him. Wa Abu Kurayb. So here, what's important to understand, you learn that rather than saying Imam Muslim قال حدثنا Abu Bakr ibn Abi Shayba قال حدثنا, and then Abu Bakr ibn Abi Shayba saying the Shaykh he got it from, it's Wa Abu Kurayb. So these two, they're going to narrate the same chain. It's like saying Ukasha said and Muhammad said, and now we're going to narrate on one person. And that's important to understand because you're going to see how Imam Muslim, how his book became so important and what's different from his Sahih than the Sahih of Imam Bukhari rahimahullah. One of the things that makes his Sahih different from Imam Bukhari, he brings multiple chains. And this example how the chain can become multiple when two people from the back narrate something from one individual. So Imam Muslim قال حدثنا Abu Bakr ibn Abi Shayba. It was said to me, but he said حدثنا. We said again, the pronoun نحن in Arabic is used for plurality. ولكن استعملوا يعني لواحد يعني لواحد تقع على واحد من باب التعظيم, that a single entity, a single individual, someone by himself can use it. That's why Allah himself uses it. And he's not a human being He's not any individual, but he himself, subhanahu wa ta'ala, uses nahnu. Inna anzalna ilayka al-kitaba bil-haqq. And indeed, we have sent down to you the book in truth, O Muhammad. Inna anzalnahu fi laylat al-qadr. Indeed, we have sent it down in the Quran in the night of the great power. Inna a'ataynaka al-kawthar. Indeed, we have given you the Kawthar. Who is Allah talking about? He's talking about himself. This is strong in language when you use the plurality rather than singular terms. So here, in a Muslim, he says, قال حدثنا أبو بكر بن أبي شيبة وأبو قريب. The both of them said to Imam Muslim, Abu Bakr ibn Shayba and Abu Qurayb, this narration. قال حدثنا أبو أسامة. So that means that the narration, Imam Muslim heard it from two of his shuyukh, Abu Bakr ibn Shayba and Abu Qurayb. Now who did they hear from? Qala, the qala, he said, qala, make the madda on the lam longer, that means the two of them said. So qala and qala haddathana Abu Usama. He mentioned Abu Usama, mentioned to both Imam ibn Abi Shayba and Imam Qurayb. An Hisham, an. When you get to an in the chain, this means tanazal fil isnad. Mada tanazal fi isnad. That the isnad, the chain is going down. It's coming from me and it's going down. But really, the generation is going up, meaning you're going back in time. But because you're narrating from your shaykh, your shaykh, your shaykh, your shaykh, shaykh, they said tanazil, the chain is going down. But time-wise, generation-wise, it's not going down, it's going back towards the Prophet. But in hadith terminology, tanazil, when you're going from your shaykh to his shaykh, to his shaykh, to his shaykh, you're going down the line. Similarly, if I'm saying me, I say my father, my grandfather, my great-grandfather, I'm going down the line, but I'm going back in time. So tanazil fi mada, it's not. Now, so when does this become clear that it's definitely going down? Down towards the tabi, down towards the companion, and then to the Nabi when you see ayn. In the beginning, Imam Muslim said, قال إمام مسلم رحمه الله تعالى حدثنا أبي بكر ابن أبي شيبة وأبو قريب. That Ibn Abi Shayba and Abu Qurayb, they both narrated to me this hadith, and then he said, قال حدثنا أبو أسامة. They said, we heard it from Abu Usama, and then they said, An Hisham. So An shows you Hisham is either Itba, Tabi'in, or Tabi'. It's either Itba, Tabi'in, or Tabi'. It can't be Sahaba, because you can't go from Abu Qurayb, who's closer to Imam Muslim, right to a Sahaba. You have to have people in between. You have to have people in between, else the chain will be munqata'a, will be broken. People missing 2 and 3 before you get to the companion. So An Hisham, An Abihi, Hisham ibn Urwa ibn Zubayr. So Hisham ibn Urwa. You have Urwa, which is the son of Zubayr, which is the husband of Asma, which Asma is the daughter of Abi Bakr. So Hisham ibn Urwa an Abihi. Who is his father? Hisham, his father is Urwa, and Urwa is the son of Zubayr. So an Hisham, ibn Urwa an Abi, Urwa ibn Zubayr an Aisha. So we see that Aisha is going to narrate to Urwa, which is her nephew, just like Abdullah ibn Zubayr is her nephew, Urwa is her nephew. And then her nephew had a son by the name of Hisham, and so he is the one that Abu Usama narrates from, and he gave it to both Abu Quraib and Abu Bakr ibn Abi Shayba, and the two of them, Abu Quraib, Shaykh of Imam Muslim, and Abu Bakr ibn Abi Shayba, gave it to Imam Muslim. And that's how the chain goes. An Abihi, and his father, Hisham ibn Urwa, an Abihi, Urwa ibn Zubayr, and Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha, his aunt. She said, and the Nabiya sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that the Prophet, sahbihi wa sallam, sami'a rajulan yakra min al-layl. He heard a person in the masjid Sami'a rajulan yakra'a min al-layl. He heard a person reading in the night. I'm going to skip and give some detail before we stop the class in about 5 minutes, as opposed to just keep reading the chain and the wordings. I'm going to skip and give you some context, some benefit from Shaykh Umar Falata, but we will have to go over more chains and more hadith before I actually get to the footage, which is on tape. So I'm going to mention it now to help people understand. So here the Prophet, Aisha said that the Prophet sallallahu sami'a rajulan yakra'a min al-layl. He heard a man reading min al-layl, meaning a portion of the night. This is one of the men who used to live in the masjid. The Prophet he had was called Ahlul Sufa, the people who lived in the masjid. In some narrations it said that the numbers at one point became like 400. 400 people, Ahlul Sufa, live in the masjid. Not married, single, not having work, no place to live. The Prophet had a section for them to live in the masjid. But these people were seeking knowledge, number one. They were Muslim upright, number one. They were seeking knowledge with the Prophet, number two. They would go out in the daytime, seek some provision. They weren't sitting around. That's number three. Number four, they would pray in the night, like the Prophet in this hadith. Sami'a rajulun yakra'a min al-layl. He heard the man reading in the night. So some people read with a low voice. Some people will raise their voice when they read. And this guy was praying close to the apartment of the Prophet, meaning the house of Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala. So the Prophet said, فَقَالَ, the hadith continues, Yarhamahullah, Yarhamahullah, may Allah have mercy on that man. What man? The man that was reading in the night, praying, Qiyam al-Layl, Tahajjud, and he was reading with the voice that the voice reached the Prophet in his apartment. So imagine that a neighbor, he's praying and he's reading loud, and you hear a portion of that Quran clearly. The Prophet said, Yarhamahullah, may Allah shower mercy upon that man. Have mercy upon him. لَقَدْ أَذْكَرَنِي كَذَا وَكَذَا ayah. He has just reminded me of this ayah and that ayah. Yarhamahullah, لَقَدْ ذَكَرْتَنِي ayati kada wa kada. He has just reminded me of certain ayat of the Quran. لَقَدْ أَذْكَرَنِي, I read it wrong. لَقَدْ أَذْكَرَنِي He just reminded me. Kada wa kada al-ayah. This and ayah and that ayah. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كنت أسقطتها Salam said أسقطتها من surati. This is very profound, and then we'll wrap it up. The Prophet Sallam said kuntu أسقطتها من surati kada wa kada. This part is very important to understand what the Prophet is saying. So we heard a man in the masjid reading the night. He made dua, Yahamahullah, laqad adkarani ayatin kada wa kada wa kada. He just reminded me of this ayah and that ayah. Then the Prophet said, laqad asqataha min surati kada wa kada wa kada. Asqat means to drop, literally, to fall. It can also mean to lose. So what the Prophet is saying here, that man, may Allah bless him, because he just read something that I heard that kind of slipped my mind. He just reminded me of something of the surahs that I have been revealed, I forgot. Now many people, and that's why it's important to go back to the ulama to explain the likes of these hadith. You have some people of bid'ah, wa zanadiqa, people of heresy, and those people that their bid'ah reaches the level of apostation. You have al-mushtarikun wa ahl al-batin. You have Orientalists, those who study Islam to try to find inconsistencies and things that show Islam has mistakes and that the deen has holes in it. It's not a real deen. So they try to take the likes of this hadith and say, see, look, the Prophet forgot Quran. The Prophet, he could have mixed up something. He didn't remember all of that, which y'all say is the Quran. How do you know? Because even here the Prophet is saying that man reminded him. When he heard the man read certain ayah that he himself, the Prophet, slipped his mind, left his memory, that he forgot. And this to try to discredit the Prophet and to also say that the Quran is not the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because even the Prophet said he forgot. The man reminded him he forgot. How can you guys be so sure that that is the book of Allah, the book of God? So Imam An-Nawawee explains, Shaykh Umar Falata explains that this doesn't mean that the Prophet, what Jibreel recited to him, what was revealed to the Prophet directly from Allah, and the likes of what Jibreel came and told the Prophet he forgot. But it means that sometimes things may slip your mind for the moment until you hear someone mention that thing, and then it reminds you of that which you kind of momentarily forgot. And not that he forgot it, or that any revelation that came to him, he doesn't know it, so he's going to have a problem when it comes to conveying the message. He's going to convey something in a way that's inconsistent with what Allah told them, or he's going to violate the tenets of Islam because he doesn't remember, or he's going to guess, he's going to speak from his own desires. No. And the ulama, like the likes of Imam An-Nawawee, Shaykh Umar said, هذا ليس تعذير على تبليغ دين الله سبحانه وتعالى. This is not the type of forgetfulness that would have affected his conveying the message. But that sometimes a person may not for the moment remember, but when he hears it, when she hears it, they remember it at that moment. And so the point while we're talking about this issue, what is the reason that Imam Nawawee made this a chapter? Bab Fadail in the Quran. And then the virtues of Quran, he brings this hadith. Because he's going to talk about the virtue of holding on to the Quran. And how to hold on to the Quran where it doesn't get away from you. Because the Quran can slip your mind, and that's the point. It doesn't mean that you don't know it at all. It slipped your mind for the moment, and the way to avoid that is by tying the Quran up, by reading the Quran much, by reviewing the Quran much, and that will prevent a person from having a temporarily spot of forgetfulness about any portion of the Quran that person may have memorized or that he knows. 10:06, we'll go 4 more minutes and we'll stop short about the hour. So the Shaykh, he continues, قال حدثنا ابن أمير. قال حدثنا ابن أمير. He brings the next chain. قال حدثنا عبدة. قال حدثنا عبدة. نعم. وأبو معاوية عن هشام عن أبيه عن عائشة رضي الله تعالى عنها. So you see another chain going to Hisham from his father, Urwa ibn Zubayr, from Aisha رضي الله تعالى عنها. قالت, she said, Aisha, كان النبي صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم, that the Prophet, he used to استمع قراءة رجل في المسجد, used to listen to the recitation of some people in the masjid. فقال رحمه الله, and he used to listen to this particular man who would raise his voice for the night prayer, and the Prophet made dua for him. May Allah have mercy on him. لقد أذكرني آية كنت نسيتها, that which I forgot. فقال, and the Prophet said for that man, rahimahullah, so may Allah show mercy upon him. The Shaykh, he says, and Imam An-Nawawee says, قال وحدثنا يحيى ibn Yahya. Now Imam Muslim is bringing another chain from the Shaykh Yahya ibn Yahya. قال قرأت على مالك. So Yahya ibn Yahya is one of the main people that reads on Imam Malik. Yahya ibn Yahya. An-Nafi'ah. So Imam Malik mentioned the narration from Nafi'. And Abdullah ibn Umar radiyallahu ta'ala. من رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, from the Messenger of Allah. قال, that the Prophet sallam, the Messenger of Allah, he said, إنما مثل صاحب القرآن. The example of a person, the example of a person who reads the Quran, like this man who's reading the Quran in the masjid, and the Prophet hears him, and the Prophet says, may Allah have mercy on that man. I heard him reading, and he just reminded me of something I forgot of the Quran. The Prophet said the example of a person of Quran, and the other wording. كمثل إبل معقلة. It's like a camel that is ma'aqala. Now, it's amazing the word that the Prophet chose. He said, Matalu Sahib al-Quran. the example of a person who memorize and have some Quran, whether it's all of the Quran, half of the Quran, a portion of the Quran. كَمَثْلِ إِبْلِ مَعَقَّلَ. He's like an ibn ma'aqal. What is ibn? Ibn is camel. Ma'aqal is from the word aqal, the intellect, aqal. The Shaykh Umar Ibn Hasan Falata, he said that the Imam Muslim brings this wording is different from the other wording. When he said that the man reminded him, here the Prophet is showing you an example now of a person of Quran and a camel. That the camel is mu'akkala. Mu'akkala, normally, aql, your intellect. Allah said, وَمَا يَدَّكُ إِلَّا ulul albab. Ulul albab is from the word bab. So bab means people who have some type of entry in their mind. Ulul albab, people that have some type of understanding in their mind. Ulul albab, like bab meaning the door or some type of perspective. Allah also mentions the people that have aql. Those who have aql. So here the Prophet said the people of Quran, their example is like a camel that's ma'aqal. Ma'aqal means he's tied, marbut. He's with the rope tied so that he la yatafattal, he won't flee. So the same thing, we will have a person that's ma'aqal, he's tied down. That means his knowing what's happening is fixed in his mind. He's not all over the place. Ma'aqal, from the word aqal. This is the same term that the Prophet is using to show that the camel is safe. He's not going to flee. He's in his position. He said, "In adaha alayha." If you tie him down, then the camel is going to be safe. He said, "Alayha." Tie him down. And Imam An-Nawawee, Shaykh Umar Falata, he said, here in this word, in the Prophet said, in ahada alayha, in ahada alayh. Why did he use ala? He said, because the word in ahada alayha, it said amsak. He's going to be there for you. He's not going to go anywhere. When atlaqaha, but if you don't tie him down, you just leave him, to wander, dhahabat. So here, as we finish for tonight, the Shaykh, he mentions some terms in Arabic, because one narration says, وَإِنْ أَحَدَهَا, if you tie it. But this word said, when ahada alayha. Remember, ala has a strong meaning. Something comes down on you. We said that in other of the classes, the word ala, so that means it's going to envelop you. He said, so why did the Prophet say, and one wording, when ahadaha, if you tie it, but in this word said, when ahada alayha, he said, because alayha means you tie him, but you go back and check to make sure that he didn't wiggle out or that it's tied properly. You tie him, but you go and you supervise, you go and check from time to time. Which shows you that if you just tie the camel and leave him, it's possible he can keep moving. The camel's strong. He can keep moving, and now the rope comes loose. Bye, camel. Likewise, the same thing. If you don't tie the Quran down by reviewing it, by reading it, then the Quran is going to leave you the same. And that's the reason that Imam An-Nawawee made this hadith, the first hadith, then bab for law of the Quran. And one of the points here, the last chain, said the hadith of Imam Muslim, قال حدثنا Yahya ibn Yahya. Yahya ibn Yahya narrated from Mada al-Imam Anas ibn Malik and and Nafi and Ibn Umar. So they call this the strongest chain. And Imam Bukhari mentioned this is the strongest chain because you have Imam Malik, Nafi, who are Mawla Ibn Umar. He's the servant of Ibn Umar. And then you have Ibn Umar. So, like, that's real close to the Prophet. There's not any way that it can be suspect, da'if. So here, Yahya ibn Yahya is the Shaykh of Imam Muslim, but he's one of the main ones who narrates from Imam Malik. And in this narration, he's showing that Imam Malik has a different wording. That is, the Prophet gave the example of the one who have the Quran, like an-naql, ma'aqal, the one who ties down the camel. Where the other narration didn't mention the camel, didn't mention tying him down. It just mentioned the man was praying in the masjid out loud in the night. The Prophet heard him and said, "May Allah have mercy on him, because it just reminded me of a portion of the ayah that I forgot." But the scholars, again, they said it doesn't mean the Prophet is affected by not knowing Quran when it's time to convey the message. Doesn't mean that the Prophet simply forgot, but he forgot momentarily. Because of the amount of Quran, the amount of things he's dealing with, it's time to rest. You're not thinking about every single ayat and surah at the time of bedtime. But if you hear something, you might start reading right along with it. Why? Because it just reminded you. You might even say, that's my favorite surah, and just jump right along. But the people, bid'ah, the Orientalists, and those people like the Tashayyur, the Shia, they try to use this hadith to say, see, that's why we said the Quran that the Prophet had is not the Quran. Because look, even he said he forgot. So how can we say that's the book of Allah? No, the Quran was given to Ali. And Fatima gave it to him because she got it. And she got it from Allah directly in the heavens. But the Quran that they claim they have, it's not the Quran. Because the Prophet himself said, "May Allah have mercy on that man who read the ayah in the night. I heard him praying as he was close to my apartment from the people who lived in the masjid. And he reminded me of something of a surah, of the ayah, and ayah so-and-so that I forgot." Allah Musta'an. So it's very important to understand. And inshallah tabarak wa ta'ala, we'll stop here. So sabaka na nabina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam tasliman kathira.